Hello, I'd like to welcome you now to our next author of the Bible, the prophet Micah. And we are going to be changing in these 7 chapters of the book of Micah. We'll be highlighting nouns in the uh, reddish purple pink color on screen that you see, and the yellow numbers will be as they have been, always will be, with referring to the book English derivative from the Greek New Testament, which we had. The first 10 authors we had, we went through quite a bit on this English derivative. I don't want to overdo it and point out every single one repetitiously every seminar, so you can let it be known that the yellow is words that appear in English derivative. And if you've just started this seminar with the book of Micah, then you haven't started at the beginning as far as the grammar. We started with the articles, and we went through that for the first 10 books, and now we'll go through the nouns, which articles modify the nouns, and some nouns have articles and others don't, and we will go through those and point them out. And the nouns basically are under 2 categories: concrete and abstract, and we'll also point that out, where certain words are concrete and other ones are abstract. So amartia, sin, is abstract, where a house would be more of a concrete. And we will point these out as we mentioned. So we'll be beginning right here, and it starts off ke ageneto logos kyriou pros mikean ton to morasthi en imeres ioatham ke ahaz ke ezechiu vasileon iuda iper on ithi peri Samarias ke peri Jerusalem. And came to pass the Logos, the Word. Jesus is mentioned as being the Word in John. The Word became flesh, the Logos, the Word of the Lord. Kyriou, the Kyrie eleison. The word of the Lord came to pass to Micah. There is a couple of other Micahs and Micaiah, which you don't want to get them confused. This is the prophet, and it says right here, the one from Moraseth, one of the Morashite. And it was in the days of Joatham and Ahaz and Hezekiah. These were the 3 kings that were actually considered to be good kings in Judah. So he was prophesying over Judah. And Jotham, his father, was a man who became a leper, Uzziah. And Pekah reigned probably instead of his father in some places, and he became king at 25 years old. And so, but Micah probably was more towards the end of Jotham, and Ahaz was the son of Jotham, and Ahaz didn't do all right in the way of God as much as his father. He built these altars and things that he got the plans from Damascus, and he copied them and brought them in to replace the altar of Jehovah. So he wasn't anywhere near as good as his father Jotham, but his son Hezekiah was a good king, and Hezekiah was restored the temple worship and opened the doors of the temple, and reinstituted the tithes and the priesthood, had the great Passover, many things. You can read all these in the book of 2 Kings 16, 20, and then all of 18, 19, and 20. Hezekiah, there's a lot written about him. And Sennacherib later comes against Jerusalem, which we may be referring, which Micah may be referring to here. And so during this time, there was also up in north, the kingdom of Israel, there was Pekah, who was a king, and I think it relates, Micah relates a little bit to him here, and then after Pekah, the last king of Israel, Hoshea. So we're getting close to the end of the time of Israel. And it came to pass in those days of these kings, it says, the Basileon, we have the word of basilica, comes from that of Judah, the kings of Judah, over what he saw concerning Samaria, which was the area sort of in between Israel and later it became Samaria, more or less the area that a lot of the Assyrians were brought into. But it was called Samaria, a part of Israel, and concerning Jerusalem. And he continues, Akusate, here, lay, the laity is the English derivative, O peoples, the plural. Now we see these nouns. The first one was logos, but you'll notice there's no article, no os. Kyriou, no article. So otherwise it would be, it came to pass, word Lord, to Micah. So it wouldn't make as much sense in English, so I added the thes there, the article. And sometimes for English clarity, I need to do that. And that's why these nouns without the article in Greek have them in English. And the kings, there's no the kings. Kings of Judah. Without the it could be a or an indirect article like we have in English. But a lot of times that doesn't work right either. And so anyway, he's now saying here, O peoples, and you can see down here a little bit there's an exclamation mark, and whenever you see the exclamation mark, that means there's an imperative word before it in the sentence, which it is the verb akusate. So hear, listen, O peoples, all the words, and take heed. There is the exclamation down here. I could have put it right after the take heed, but it would have made it look like a new sentence with O earth. And take heed, O earth. Geology was the English derivative, and all the ones in it. So now he's directing this to the peoples, all peoples, O peoples. I might take the O out, just hear peoples, all the words, and take heed instead of the earth, or O earth. I could just take that out and take heed, earth, and all the ones in it. Even one, the Lord, Kyrios, O Theos, theology, the God, the Lord God will be among you for a testimony. So he's telling the world, the peoples, and the earth that God will be among them, among us. For a testimony, a witness is another word, which it could be. Kyrios, the Lord, from out of his holy, iku, the house, economy is a derivative, from out of his holy house. For, behold, Kyrios, the Lord, goes forth from out of his topu, the place, topography. It has to do with map making of places. He will, the Lord is going forth from out of his place. And katavisati will go down. I didn't read the Greek, I'm sorry. In the second one, akusate lei patis logus, ke prosecheto ihi, ke patis I en avti, ke este Kyrios o Theos en imin, is martyrion Kyrios, ex iku agiu avtu. And then in verse 3, Dioti idu Kyrios, ek porevite ek tu topu avtu, ke katavisate, ke epivisate epi ta ipsi, tis gis. For behold, the Lord, the Kyrios, the Lord goes forth from out of his place, and he will go down and will mount upon the ipsi, the heights of the the earth. So God is going to come out of his house, and he will come down. And then he continues, Ke salevthisate ta ori, Ipokatothen avtu, ke kilades takisonte, osi kiros apo prosopu pyros ke os ethor kataferomenon and katavasi. And the mountains, the the Oros mountains, shall be shaken, Salavthisate, from beneath him. So we've seen that on Mount Sinai, where the mountains shook when Moses was there, and before all the people, all these things came out of fire and smoke. And it continues, and the valleys, the Kiladas, shall melt away as beeswax, and these are all nouns. Now you'll see up here to topu, we do have it. Now it doesn't have the there because in some places it doesn't make sense to put the in. So it's kind of confusing to you once with the article and when it appears and when it doesn't. But if I put the article, every place it had the Greek article would be, for behold, here I added it, the Lord goes forth from out of the place of his. I could have done it that way, then I chose to do it a little bit easier, from out of his place, and make these little hyphen structures. And he will go down and mount upon there is the heights, on that, again, tis, of the earth, in the genitive. You can see where the endings of eta sigma is the same as eta sigma here. It's not always the case, but gives you a hint there of the words endings being the same in the article and the noun it modifies. And we went on, and then there's the mountains and the valleys, beeswax, in front. Actually, it's from the face of fire. Prosopu could be fire. Could be a face, I'm sorry. And could be, shall melt away as beeswax from face of fire, from the face of fire, or in front of fire. In front of kind of makes it sound like a preposition of a place, but place in relation to something else, like in or out, above, over. But it's actually a noun. It's not a preposition. From the face of fire, and as ethor, water, being carried down in a descent. So this is what's going to happen in front of them. The valleys will melt away, and water will be carried down. Upheavals on the earth. In verse 5, Via Asevian Yaakov, Panta Tafta, Ke Via Amartian Iku Israel, Tis Asevia Yaakov, Uki Samaria, Ketis amartia iku Iuda, uki Jerusalem. Micah says, all these things are on account of the impiety of Jacob. He may have been relating now to the time of Ahaz, who was taking away the sacrifices and burned incense in the high places and removed the altar and did all these bad things. And so when all these bad things were happening, it says, and because of the amartian, there's the sin, I added because of sin. You could say it could because of a sin of the house of Israel, because the is not there, but it's a hard one. It's a hard call. When you're translating, because of is a specific sin or is it a sin in general, or just one sin? And then of the house, and there's no article for the house, of the house of Israel. It's of because it's a genitive case. If the was there, it would be two. It could be there if they wanted to, because of amartian tu iku, but it isn't, of Israel. So, and Israel was one of the problems, and Israel was up north, and it was falling apart, going towards the last. It'll be taken away shortly after this period of time, or maybe already had. And what is the sin of the house of Judah? Is it not Jerusalem? Jerusalem is where the king was, and probably King Ahaz and what he was doing in the temple. In verse 6 it continues, Ke thesome Samarian is oporophilachion agru, ke is phitian ampelonos, ke kataspaso is haos, tus lithus aftis, ke ta themelia aftis, apocalypso. And I will make Samaria for a storehouse of fruits of the field. This figure appears many different places of sort of the growers and the pickers have all gone, and this everything's in the storehouse, and it's all the field is all empty of no more grain or crops, and so it's an empty place. And he's going to make Samaria for a storehouse of fruits of the field. Or it could be that he's going to take everything out of Samaria. And it's a word that's used in other places, and it always has to do with the sort of a desolation of a field. Agru, agriculture, is the derivative. Number 68 is in yo. It's English derivatives. And for planting a vineyard are both two nouns there. And I will tear down in house. There's an English derivative. Chaos. It comes from the Greek word house. Almost alpha omega sigma. Alpha omega sigma in English. And the he, ha. And I will tear down in house. Her stones are the stones of hers, it could be. And the foundation of hers I will uncover. I just thought it was, I had a hard time deciding whether I'm going to put the articles and make it always this way, and the foundations of hers and her foundations this way. Maybe I should have went the other direction. Maybe if you have some input, which way do you think I should go? If you understand this, I would be glad to hear from you. And so he's going to tear down the stones, and her foundations I will uncover. This is Samaria. In verse 7, Ke pantata glipta aftis katakopsusi, ke pantata misthomata aftis emprisusin piri, ke pantata idola aftis thesome is aphanismon, dioti ek misthomaton pornias, sinigage, ke ek misthomaton pornis katestrepsen, and all her carved images I will cut in pieces. The carved images that they were making up in Israel, the calves and different types of gods other than the God of Israel and Jerusalem. And I will cut them in pieces, and all of her hires. Pekah hired, allied with Rezin, the king of Syria, and they came down into Judah, and they took 2,000. They killed 120,000 men of Judah, it says in 2 Chronicles 28:5-15. You can read about it. And they took 200,000 captives to Samaria, and they besieged Jerusalem, but they couldn't overcome Ahaz. This is what he can be referring to. The hires, the Syrians, shall burn in fire, piri, pyre, as a derivative, and all her idola, idols, idola, idol, as a derivative. I shall establish for extinction, aphanismon, disappearance. That's what it actually means. Is negative, and phanis is an appearance, an unappearance, disappearance. Because she gathered together, synagage, a synagogue, a gathering of men. She gathered together the hires of porneas, pornea. We have pornography and hires of harlotry. And from hires of harlotry he eradicated. God, Micah was talking about, it could be That's what I believe he's talking about. God eradicated. Because of this, Anakin tutu, kopsate ke thrinisi. Because of this, she shall beat her breast and wail. The women in the Middle East, when they are crying out, the men are something, they're going to war, and you can hear them wailing this. I'm not going to try to imitate it, and they beat their breast and show their displeasure of what's going on. And then it continues, she shall go barefoot and gimni, naked. Pisate kopeton os drakonton, ke penthos os thigateron sirenon. She shall make a beating. These are all nouns. Dragon, mourning. Mourning would be more of the abstract noun. A daughter is concrete. Sirens, concrete. She shall make. Pa, the 4160, the most popular used verb outside of to be is make, to do, 4160. As drakonton, the dragon, this is a Greek word, English word, comes out of the Greek, 1404. And penthos, mourning as the daughters of Sirenon. I translated it directly into sirens. What were sirens in mythology? They're mythological women, but the word was used here in the Greek of the Old Testament. In verse 9 it continues, Oti katakratisan e pligi aftes, dioti ilthan eos iuda, ke ipsato eos pilis leumu, eos Jerusalem. For her calamity, there's the one, her calamity being a hyphen structure, the pligi, a plague actually is another English derivative, but it's not so much a plague but a calamity, holds firmly because it went unto Judah. This army came down against Ahaz into Judah, as we mentioned, and it touched unto the gate, Pelis, of my Leu, the laity, Leu people, unto Jerusalem. That's what happened, and you can read about that, where Rezin and they came down and took these captives from Judah, and they were later returned at the prophet Oded's bidding. And then verse 10 he continues, en Geth mi megalineste, ke en vahim mi anikodhomite ex iku katagelota yin, katagelota, again kata pasasta katagelota imon. Well, hard here for me to read this, but we'll go on, and it says, the ones in Gath, do not magnify yourselves, and the ones in Bakim, do not rebuild your house with laughter. These places that took over Judah. Don't be so proud of your works, more or less. Strew gene, geology, strew earth, dirt, on your laughter. And then in verse 11 it continues, Katikusa kalos tas polis aftis, uk exilthe katikusa sainan kopsasthe, ikon echomenon aftis, lipsate eximon pligin odhinis. Her inhabiting well, the polis, the metropolis, the cities, her cities, did not come forth. Her inhabiting Zaanan to beat her chest, for the house next to her. She shall receive from your calamity of grief. So these is going to come back against Samaria. Verse 12. Tis irksato is agatha, katikusi and odines, otikatevi kaka parakiriu, epi piles Jerusalem. Who began to act for good to her dwelling in griefs? Odines is those are all nouns, and then in is preposition, same as in English. For bad things, kaka is the opposite of good. Kaka. Bad things came down from Kiriu, from the Lord, upon the Piles, the gates of Jerusalem. Yeah, the bad things did. Psophos, armaton, ke ipev onton. Katikusa lakis, archigos, amartias, estiti thigatri, sion, oti in si, evrethison, asevia, Israel. And now he's talking about later, I believe, here when Sennacherib came against Hezekiah, and this he was tied into the city of Lachish, and it mentions here the noise, even noise of armaton, chariots, armaments is the English derivative, and one's riding. The one Ipev generally has to do with riding horses. The epos is a horse, and one's riding. Dwelling Lachish, the city. That says dwelling Lachish is the head of sin. Amartias, archigos, the head of sin, the archi, monarch, single ruler. Also, kephalos is a true head. And this is like not the head of your on top of your head, but it's the leader, the archigos, is to the daughter thigatri sion, daughter thigatri, the daughter. The spellings are similar in English and the Greek. Ot, for in you they found the impious deeds of Israel. Or I could just take out the. For in you they found impious deeds of Israel. In verse 14, Thea tuto dosi exapostelomenos heos kleronomias geth, icus Mateus, is kenon agenonto tis vasilevsi Israel. On account of this, he shall grant ones to be sent forth unto the inheritance of Gath, the vain houses, for they became vanities to the kings of Israel. Israel is going to fall. It's perching on the edge right as he's talking. The vanity, the Israel hired Syria, King Pekah, to come against Judah. But then, right after him, King Hoshea of Israel was taken over by the kings of Assyria, not Syria. And this king came and took the Israelites away. And it continues, Eos tus kleronomus agagosi si katikusa lachis kleronomiasu eos odolam ixi doxatis thigatros Israel, until they should bring their heirs to you, O inhabitant of Lachish, your inheritance, unto Adullam, glory of the daughter of Israel, shall come. They came to the Assyrians. 1:16, it continues, Xiri se ke kire epi ta tekna, ta trifera su, emplantinon, tin xirisin su os aetos, oti ikmalotevthisen apo su. Shave and shear for your delightful children, widening your shaving as an eagle, the bald eagle and this widening the shaving, for they were taken captive from you. The children of Israel were taken by the king of Assyria. And so Micah here is finishing the first chapter, and he's showing that Judah had its problems. It was doing bad things under this king Ahaz, but Israel was even doing worse. And it came down against both of them. This was the condition that was at the time of the first chapter of Micah. So we will be going into this second chapter, and we will continue with the nouns, and maybe we'll start separating nouns that have articles and nouns that don't have articles, and then later on go a little bit deeper into these nouns. All these colors tie into the grammar of the analytical lexicon of the Apostolic Bible. So if you had that number, like here in 2364, thigatros, you could look up 2364. It would tell you it was a noun. It would tell you that it was if it was genitive, and if it was singular or plural, be daughters, different things. And so you learn you can use the analytical lexicon with these numbers and find out what they are on your own. But we will be going through the whole Bible here and bringing out these grammatical parts of Greek. So we hope you enjoyed this seminar, and we will see you the next time. God bless.